making.
Is this
It is weird.
Is this a new shirt? Is this shirt new?
It's probably old. I'm going through the closet and I'm like, I have had, like guys maybe back me up, guys with fluctuating weight. You get a shirt where the buttons are popping, and you don't put it in the Goodwill bag right away. Like not if you're fluctuating weight. Like you take it and you look at it and you go, I'll be back, motherfucker. And then slowly over the years, because you keep getting fatter, either your weight fluctuates, but you keep getting fatter. So if you're lucky enough to have a big enough closet, like you start to, the overall effect is a large library of shirts that never fit you for various reasons. And it like every morning I have like a 10-minute like pad that I have to give myself because I'm like going through and going, oh yeah, what's your name? When did we meet last? All right, Paul, time to take another ride around the fucking block. And then I'm like, okay, still won't work. That's fine. Put it back. I'll also just I'll throw them like angrily, like so then they go through the wash and probably get smaller. But I assume this is one of those, or maybe it's a well bought Bombfell shirt from bombfell.com. Hey kids, do you want a box of shit to, you know what I heard on a podcast? Here's a generic ad. If you want a personalized ad for your company. Hey, if you like this show, then you know, like me, what it's like to not have a box of shit delivered to your house. The people at boxofshit.com believe that shit should come in boxes to your house, whereas they used to not be able to because the fucking infrastructure's changed. So, look, we're here today. We might be gone tomorrow. We don't know. It's all up to you. Go to fucking Harmontown. There's a limited offer for our listeners. Go to box of fucking shit's going to come to your house. And some of the shit's just like, we're like, oh my God, of course, thank God. Like, and we don't know. You got to sprinkle box of shit companies over the top of everything and see what takes.
Sure.
Like, box of cat toys didn't work. Look, Mike, maybe my cat hasn't been special this month. I don't want to give it another fucking box of toys. Fuck you. But,
the beer of the month box.
You know, Warby Parker. I think people are, you know what fucking sucks is like shopping for glasses or whatever. It's like you gotta test it all. Maybe your toothbrush. I don't know. Maybe your foot. Hey, want a new foot? Hey, it's me, your foot. What do you get in the store for your foot? There's a boxoffoot.com comes to your house. You get a foot. Whatever. There's a left foot or a right foot. You go to their door. There's always a foot. You have a subscription to a foot. You can rate it, subscribe to it. You can like it. Put your foot on YouTube. Share it with your friends. You can Slender Man. You can eat your foot. You can tell it to a horror movie a week. Or a Hannibal Lecter-esque character will walk you through which foot you should have. What was I going to say? I forgot. I was listening to a podcast. It was my first. I was like, "That's irresponsible," because we're in this wild west with podcast advertising, and there's this true crime thing I was listening to. I think it was. I think it was a popular one. Dr. Death. Are you guys listening to Dr. Death? No? Okay.
Woo.
Well, then good. Then I'm Prometheus. Listen to it. I think it's only 3 episodes in. It's like a series. It's one of those things. It's like very like Dirty John. You know, listen to Dirty John. It's like
sort of
like, they break up
Check
like a very
out.
curious
Dirty John?
Yeah, listen to Dirty John. Holy
into
shit.
a bunch of episodes. And this guy who's like doctor he's not necessarily just a sociopath who pretended to be a doctor, but then again, he was never a good doctor, but he just kind of bluffed his way through the medical system. It was like gouging out people's spines and like very interesting. And like early on in the podcast, the guy goes like, and then he gouged out this spine, and then the person's leg turned blue, and then they had a stroke, and now they're dead. And it's like, if you, and then he's pause. There's this pause, and then the same voice says, "This podcast may be making you feel very uncomfortable." But nothing is more comfortable than a good pair of socks. It was basically that, and I was like, I was aroused from my bed. I was like, Cody, that's wrong. That's not right.
Yeah.
You're like they actually found in a world where no one cares. Like, There's something fundamentally wrong about that. I like where you're like, it's back to the 30s or something, where you're just like, you can just now get like, hey, it's like this podcast is going to offend you. Or it's going to raise your awareness of the civil rights era as we go back in time to the 1960s. But you know what? It'll take you back in time more is like a Reese's Kiss. That's fine, right? Because it's like, who cares? It's just like a segue. But why was I offended by the socks making you comfortable? Oh, it was because, like, what if he said, because there's that podcast advertiser that's like the real-time shrinky dink, like you can like call a number and have a shrink. You know, Whoa. It's like feelfine.org or whatever. Like you can, it's like clear fun talk. Like talk to somebody. It's like don't kill yourself. Like talk to this thing, and they let true crime podcasts will advertise it. But like, what if he used that saying? It was like, this is going to make you uncomfortable talking about this guy gouging out spines because he's not a good doctor, and like hey, maybe you'll be next. If that upsets you, you should call this company. That profits every time you're freaked out and you call the number. I guess that's what I was thinking is like that's what triggered me in me. It was like, you can't make people uncomfortable and then tell them that socks will help. It hasn't worked that way in years. That's dangerous. That's like
it's like a hamster wheel of necessity.
You can't be like, if you're listening to this podcast, you currently might be afraid of leaving your home. You should buy a new television. Okay, I guess that's what we do. Okay.
It's fucked up. That's exactly what they do, though. That's why you see Taco Bell commercials at like 1 o'clock in the morning telling you that you should combo meal their shit because they know you're stoned.
Yeah, I know that. So what was it about the sock thing? I guess it was because
you like that segue.
It was because podcasting for me is like a little bit. It's both sacred and unsacred. It's sort of like, I feel like Al Swearingen looking at his window in Deadwood, going like, "God damn telephone wires, suck my dick." You know, like I'm gonna stab an Indian in the stomach because like, and I'm just like, oh, the fucking senator's here. Fuck it, I'm gonna fuck everybody.
Also, there's got to be a little bit of love for something that's kind of hard to do. So maybe there's a little bit of admiration in there because it's a corny segue, but that motherfucker went for it.
I always thought the podcast business was going to go like, okay, everybody spread out and say whatever the fuck you can think to say to make people listen to you. And then after we do that for a while, let's slowly coalesce into networks, and then let's have those networks engage in collective bargaining with a newly subjugated corporate clientele. Boy, was I wrong. Yeah.
What is it instead?
I don't know.
It's just advertisers.
Yeah, it's just like it was just more like somebody else thought that was like me, but instead of a guy that likes to talk into a microphone, that person loves advertising and was like, hey, I tell you what, why don't we? I belong to this agency that there's like agencies rounding up the corporate clientele that are willing to advertise on podcasts, which are more high risk for them PR-wise, maybe. You know, it's a Wild West kind of thing. So you notice the kind of clientele you're getting. It's like, it's the kind that your brain goes, oh, yeah, they don't risk anything. Like Snickers isn't advertising during podcasts yet.
Right.
And so it's like somebody went around and gathered all those people up into families, and then they collectively bargained. Like, hey, what the fuck's your podcast about? What, you fucking getting high and watching movies? Yes, so's everybody's. Come on, what do you got for us? Well, I promise I'll tell everybody I'll wear your socks for $1. I didn't want it to go that way.
There's something worse than just podcast advertising about like true crime podcast advertising, though, isn't there? It's like, and then like her blood was spread like everywhere and no one could find most of it. Also, Tide gum. It's gum now.
Hilarious.
Tide gum?
It's gum now.
It's gum
Spit
now.
on your friends and clean their shirt.
Yeah.
Should have told you that
chew
last
the
week.
gum. Your clothes get cleaner as you wear them.
It's gum now.
It just seems gruesome to be all like, yeah, man, fucking buy this because all these people died.
Because the body was wrapped in a soft blanket from Downey. Is that what we're worried about?
If he was using the gravity blanket.
There was a pretty fun, sophisticated, like, first people to do it in a comprehensive way, like podcast spoof. That was it was a spoof of the podcast that I poked a little fun of on here a while back about I don't know, it was like Done Disappeared or Gone Up and Vanished.
What podcast?
Up and Vanished, I think, is the real one, right? Yes. And then someone did a spoof of Up and Vanished that I think was called Done Disappeared. And if you haven't heard it, it's really funny, and it's also like sociologically edifying because you're living in the beginning of a new medium, and this is like one of the first like actual like kind of Yankovicings like of another. It's like, oh, this popular podcast, and then someone not only just sat there like me and went like, hey, you heard this one? Well, this guy needs to get a fucking haircut. Somebody like dug in and like did a spoof, and I'm fascinated by that stuff too as we're watching it evolve.